In 1960, Pakistan and South Korea had identical per capita incomes, $100 each, the same. South Korea looked at Pakistan and thought, this is the country we want to become. Their government sent a delegation to Karachi, not to teach Pakistan, to learn from it. They copied Pakistan's 5-year economic plan, word for word, and used it as the foundation of what the world would later call the miracle on the Han River. Today, South Korea's per capita income is 10 times higher than Pakistan's. This is not a story of bad luck. This is a story of decisions, deliberate decisions, made by powerful men who chose power over prosperity. This is the file they buried. Declassified Pakistan.
Let us start with the facts. In 1960, Pakistan's GDP was $5 billion. South Korea's GDP was $2.7 billion. Pakistan was almost double. Pakistan's economic growth rate in the 1960s averaged 6.8% per year. South Korea's economists came to Pakistan to study the ingredients of success, not the other way around. The governor of the State Bank of Pakistan confirmed this in an official speech in 2004, and I quote directly, "Korea and Pakistan had identical per capita incomes of $100 in 1960. Korea has now graduated as an OECD member. Pakistan has not." In 1961, just 3 years after America started NASA, Pakistan launched its own space program. Pakistan was the second country in Asia to launch a space and upper atmosphere research program. Pakistani economists were so respected that they were being flown to other Asian countries as advisors. Parvez Hassan, one of Pakistan's top economists, was in hot demand across the Asia-Pacific region. The world was watching Pakistan. And what the world saw in 1960 was a country on the edge of becoming Asia's greatest success story.
In 1962, South Korean President Park Chung-hee launched his country's first 5-year economic development plan. It was the plan that built modern South Korea, the plan that created the miracle on the Han River, the plan that turned a war-devastated country into one of the world's largest economies. That plan was copied directly from Pakistan, specifically from Karachi's second 5-year plan. South Korean officials came to Pakistan, studied the plan, and replicated it. A professor from the Korean Development Institute confirmed this in 2013, saying that while South Korea followed the plans it adopted from Pakistan, the outcomes for the two countries diverged dramatically due to differences in execution. South Korea executed. Pakistan did not. And the reason Pakistan did not execute was not incompetence. It was not culture. It was not religion. It was politics. Specifically, it was the decisions of 3 men who each in their own way took a knife to Pakistan's economy. Their names were Ayub Khan, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and Zia-ul Haq. We will get to each of them. But first, let us understand what Pakistan was building before
In the
they destroyed it.
1960s, Karachi was one of the most exciting cities in Asia. It had a functioning stock exchange, a thriving port, modern hotels and restaurants, a cosmopolitan population of artists, intellectuals, and business people. International magazines were writing about Karachi as a model of urban development. The city had electricity, running water, public transport, tree-lined boulevards, beach clubs, cinema halls. Foreign diplomats and business people chose Karachi over Delhi, Bangkok, and Jakarta as their preferred posting in Asia. Pakistan's manufacturing exports in 1969 were higher than Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia combined, despite Pakistan having only a fraction of their territory. Think about that. Pakistan, a country that had existed for only 22 years, was outperforming multiple established Southeast Asian nations in manufacturing exports. Karachi was not just a city, it was a symbol of what a Muslim-majority, post-colonial nation could achieve when given the chance. That symbol was deliberately dismantled, piece by piece, decision by decision.
No story of Pakistan's golden era is complete without talking about PIA, Pakistan International Airlines. In the 1960s, PIA was not just a good airline, it was one of the greatest airlines in the world. PIA was the first airline in Asia to operate jet aircraft. PIA launched the first air route between Europe and China. And here's the fact that most Pakistanis do not know. Singapore Airlines, today consistently ranked among the world's best airlines, was trained by PIA. When Singapore launched its national airline, they hired PIA personnel to train their staff and set up their operations. PIA taught Singapore Airlines how to run an airline. Today, Singapore Airlines is consistently ranked among the top 3 airlines in the world. PIA, the airline that taught them, was banned from European airspace in 2020 due to safety concerns. The same airline, the one that was a pioneer, the one that trained others. What happened between then and now is the same story as Pakistan's entire economy. A story of political interference, nepotism, corruption, and the deliberate sacrifice of excellence on the altar of
Before we
patronage.
talk about the wars and the politicians, there is one loss that nobody talks about. The silent loss, the invisible destruction. Pakistan's brain drain. In the 1960s, Pakistan was producing world-class economists, engineers, doctors, and scientists. These were not ordinary professionals. These were people who were advising Asian governments, running international institutions, being recruited by the World Bank and the IMF. Dr. Mahbub ul Haq, one of the greatest development economists of the 20th century, was Pakistani. He created the Human Development Index, the global standard by which the world measures the quality of life of its citizens. He did his best work outside Pakistan. This became the pattern. Every time Pakistan's political situation deteriorated, every time a coup happened, every time a new wave of repression began, Pakistan's best minds left. They went to America, to Britain, to the Gulf, and they did not come back. Because Pakistan could not offer them what they needed: stability, opportunity, and safety. South Korea experienced the same brain drain in the 1950s, but Park Chung-hee's government made a deliberate decision to bring those people back, offering them senior positions, research funding, and a stake in building the nation. Pakistan's governments did the opposite. They filled senior positions with loyalists. They rewarded connections, not competence. The result? Pakistan exported its human capital and imported mediocrity into its institutions. Every Pakistani doctor practicing in London, every Pakistani engineer working in Houston, every Pakistani economist at the World Bank is a loss that Pakistan's economy has never recovered from.
The first blow to Pakistan's economy came in September 1965. President Ayub Khan launched Operation Gibraltar, a covert military operation to infiltrate Indian-controlled Kashmir and trigger an uprising. The plan failed completely. India responded with a full-scale military offensive. The 1965 Indo-Pakistani War lasted 17 days. It ended in a ceasefire. No territory changed hands. But the economic damage was catastrophic. Foreign aid, which had been funding a significant portion of Pakistan's 5-year plan, was suspended immediately. The United States, which had been Pakistan's largest donor, cut off both military and economic assistance. The World Bank halted funding. Fixed investment, which had reached an all-time peak of 20.8% of GDP in 1964-65, collapsed. The war achieved nothing militarily, but it destroyed the economic momentum that Pakistan had spent 18 years building. South Korea, by contrast, had no such war in 1965. South Korea kept executing its 5-year plan, the one it had copied from Pakistan. While Pakistan was distracted by conflict, South Korea was building factories. This was the moment the paths diverged. 1965. One country chose war. The other chose growth. And the consequences would define both nations for the next 60 years.
If 1965 was the first blow, 1971 and 1972 were the fatal ones. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto came to power as Pakistan's first civilian martial law administrator after the traumatic breakup of Pakistan and the creation of Bangladesh. He was charismatic. He was popular. He spoke the language of the poor. And he made a decision that would haunt Pakistan for 50 years.
He nationalized everything. Banks, insurance companies, industries, steel mills, shipping companies, cotton ginning factories, rice husking mills. In two waves of nationalization, 1972 and 1974, Bhutto transferred Pakistan's most productive private enterprises into government hands. His slogan was Roti, Kapra or Makan, bread, clothing, and shelter. The intention was to help the poor. The result was the opposite. Pakistan's private sector, which had been the engine of the country's remarkable growth, collapsed overnight. Entrepreneurs fled the country. Investment dried up. The industries that had made Pakistan's manufacturing exports the envy of Southeast Asia became bloated, corrupt, government-run enterprises that hemorrhaged money year after year. South Korea, in the same period, was doing the exact opposite, aggressively supporting its private sector, pushing exports, building the chaebols that would create Samsung, Hyundai, and LG. One country was dismantling its private sector. The other was building it. By 1980, South Korea's GDP per capita was twice Pakistan's. In just 15 years, the country that had copied Pakistan's plan had left Pakistan behind permanently.
Zia-ul-Haq came to power in 1977 and ruled Pakistan for 11 years. We covered his deal with the CIA in episode 1. But what that deal did to Pakistan's economy deserves its own chapter. The billions that flowed into Pakistan through Operation Cyclone did not build schools, hospitals, or factories. They built madrasas. They funded militias. They flooded Pakistan's streets with weapons. The Kalashnikov culture that emerged in Pakistan's cities made Karachi, once Asia's model city, into one of the world's most violent urban centers. Business investment collapsed in Karachi as ethnic and sectarian violence made the city ungovernable. The heroin trade that accompanied the Afghan war created a drug crisis that destroyed a generation. And Zia's reversal of some of Bhutto's nationalizations, while economically correct, came too late and too inconsistently to rebuild the private sector confidence that had been shattered in the 1970s. By the time Zia died in 1988, Pakistan had fallen permanently behind every Asian economy it had
Let us
once
ask
led.
the question that Pakistani economists have been asking for decades. If Pakistan had maintained its 1960s growth rate, if the 1965 war had not happened, if nationalization had not happened, if political stability had been maintained, where would Pakistan be today? The numbers are staggering. Pakistan's growth rate in the 1960s was 6.8% per year. If that rate had continued, Pakistan's economy today would be larger than South Korea, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Karachi would be what Dubai is today. PIA would be what Emirates is today. Pakistani engineers and economists would be running the world's institutions, not leaving Pakistan to find opportunities abroad. Instead, Pakistan's per capita income today is 1/10 of South Korea's. The country that copied Pakistan's plan is 10 times richer than the country that wrote it. This is not fate. This is not culture. This is not religion. This is the direct consequence of decisions made by men in power who chose their own interests over their nation's
There is a
future.
photograph of Karachi from 1965. Tree-lined boulevards, modern buildings, a functioning, thriving cosmopolitan city. And there is a photograph of Seoul from 1965. War-damaged, poor, rebuilding from almost nothing. Look at those two photographs, and then look at both cities today. Something was stolen from Pakistan. Not by foreign powers alone, though they played their role, but by Pakistan's own leaders, its own generals, its own politicians. Men who were given a country with extraordinary potential and chose to extract from it rather than build it. Let us be specific about
In
what was lost.
1960, Pakistan had more engineers per capita than South Korea. Today, South Korea produces more patents in a single year than Pakistan has produced in its entire history. In 1960, PIA flew to more international destinations than any other Asian airline. Today, PIA is banned from European skies. These are not statistics. These are tombstones. Tombstones for the hospitals that were never built, the universities that were never funded, the factories that were nationalized and destroyed, the scientists who left and never returned, the children who grew up poor in a country that had no reason to be poor. And yet, Pakistan's story is not over. Because here is the other truth, the one that the doomers and the cynics ignore. Pakistan still has 240 million people. Pakistan still has some of the world's most fertile agricultural land. Pakistan still sits at the crossroads of Central Asia, South Asia, and the Middle East, one of the most strategically valuable geographic positions on Earth. The potential that existed in 1960 still exists today. It is buried under decades of bad decisions, but it is there. The question every Pakistani must ask is not just what happened. The question is, are the same decisions being made today? Are the same patterns repeating? Is Pakistan still choosing war over growth? Is Pakistan still rewarding loyalty over competence? Is Pakistan still watching its best minds board planes to build other countries' futures? Because a country that does not understand how it fell is condemned to keep falling. And a country that understands has a chance. This was episode 3 of Declassified Pakistan. Next week, we open the file on Zia-ul-Haq's plane crash. An American ambassador, a CIA station chief, Pakistan's most powerful general, all dead. Same plane, same day. In the middle of the Bahawalpur Desert. Was it an accident? The evidence suggests otherwise. Subscribe. The next file drops in 7 days.